Certainly. Here's a detailed story of Robert Mugabe, the longest-serving president of Zimbabwe, told chronologically and with historical context. Early life and education, 1924 to 1960s. Robert Gabriel Mugabe was born on February 21, 1924, in Kutama, southern Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, then a British colony. Raised in a Roman Catholic family, he was a serious student who went on to study at Fort Hare University in South Africa, an institution known for producing African leaders. He later earned several degrees through distance learning, including in economics, education, and law. Mugabe became a school teacher and taught in Ghana, where he was influenced by Kwame Nkrumah's Pan-Africanism and socialism. Returning to Rhodesia in the early 1960s, Mugabe became politically active in the fight against white minority rule. Liberation struggle and imprisonment, 1960s to 1970s. In 1963, Mugabe co-founded the Zimbabwe African National Union, ZANU, a liberation movement fighting for majority rule. His activism led to 11 years of imprisonment by the white minority government of Ian Smith. Even while jailed, Mugabe remained a powerful figure, continuing to inspire resistance. Upon release in 1974, Mugabe went into exile in Mozambique and became a military political leader during the Rhodesian Bush War, a brutal guerrilla conflict between nationalist forces and the white-led government. Independence and rise to power, 1980. After the Lancaster House Agreement in 1979, Rhodesia transitioned to majority rule. In the first democratic elections of 1980, Mugabe's ZANU-PF won by a landslide. He became the Prime Minister of independent Zimbabwe on April 18, 1980, a date now celebrated as Independence Day. Early leadership and economic growth, 1980s. Initially, Mugabe promoted reconciliation, even urging whites to stay and help rebuild. He invested in education and healthcare, turning Zimbabwe into one of Africa's most literate and developed nations at the time. However, his unity government with Joshua Nkomo's ZAPU soon broke down. In the mid-1980s, Mugabe launched a brutal military crackdown known as Gukurahundi in the Matabeleland region, targeting perceived dissidents. At least 20,000 people were killed. This period marked the beginning of authoritarian rule. Presidency and power consolidation, 1987 to 1990s. In 1987, Mugabe amended the constitution to become executive president, merging the posts of president and prime minister. He established a one-party state in practice, and ZANU-PF became deeply entrenched in power. Throughout the 1990s, Zimbabwe's economy began to decline due to mismanagement, corruption, and failed structural adjustment programs. However, Mugabe still enjoyed loyalty from much of the population, especially in rural areas. Land reforms and international isolation, 2000s. In 2000, Mugabe launched a controversial land reform program, forcibly redistributing land from white commercial farmers to black Zimbabweans, many of whom lacked the resources or expertise to maintain productivity. While rooted in the idea of correcting colonial injustices, the implementation was chaotic and violent. The program, combined with rising authoritarianism, led to economic collapse, hyperinflation, peaking at 79 billion % in 2008, international sanctions, food shortages, and mass emigration, rigged elections and opposition, 2000 to 2010s. Despite increasing opposition from the Movement for Democratic Change, MDC, led by Morgan Tsvangirai, Mugabe held onto power through allegedly rigged elections, political intimidation, and manipulation of the state apparatus. In 2008, after a heavily disputed election marred by violence, Mugabe was forced into a power-sharing government with Tsvangirai. However, Mugabe maintained most control and continued suppressing dissent. Final years and military coup, 2013 to 2017. In 2013, Mugabe controversially won another election. As he aged, internal ZANU-PF power struggles intensified, especially between his wife Grace Mugabe and Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa. In November 2017, after Mnangagwa was dismissed and Grace was poised to succeed Mugabe, the military staged a coup. Mugabe was placed under house arrest. Facing impeachment, he resigned on November 21, 2017, after 37 years in power, making him one of Africa's longest-serving leaders. Death and legacy, 2019. Robert Mugabe died on September 6, 2019, in Singapore at the age of 95. His legacy is deeply controversial. Achievements: led Zimbabwe to independence, invested in education and health, championed black empowerment and African sovereignty. Failures: crushed opposition and civil liberties, oversaw economic collapse, orchestrated human rights abuses, left Zimbabwe deeply divided and economically fragile. Robert Mugabe was a liberation hero who became a symbol of authoritarianism. His rule mirrored a tragic arc, from respected freedom fighter and nation builder to an aging autocrat clinging to power at great.